back to Show Up, Stand Out, Online Visibility, a series for entrepreneurs where we show you everything you need to know, do, or have to build a profitable and unignorable personal brand. My guest today is Juliana Garcia, the founder of Soulful Marketing. Juliana helps experienced coaches and consultants unlock their unique message and create magnetic content that attracts clients who pay in full. And talking about personal brand, this is the person who shows up so powerfully within her personal brand. I absolutely love it. I secretly stalk her on Facebook all the time. She doesn't even know. Hi, Juliana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this.
Me too as well, because I love what you're talking about. I love how you show up. And I know that, Juliana is always talks about, showing up as who you are, sharing your vulnerability. And we will talk a little bit about that as well. One thing that I've seen you talk about, Juliana, was women and the way, like how to appeal to women's logic when they're buying or selling, in fact, because we all have, we think a little bit differently. I think that we're very complex. Now, I don't discriminate, guys. You're all welcome in our worlds. But when it comes to selling, when it comes to building a business, I think being a woman presents like extra challenges. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that there are definitely, women are more complex, and so in just men are that you just have maybe just one or two emotions a day. Not to say that every man, but I mean, trust me, I'm not like a man lover. I'm not like a feminist, and like I don't hate men in any way. It's just like we're different human beings, and I work with men too. Love everybody that I work with. And if you are watching this interview and your target market are women, there's a depth that we want to touch. There's like a layer of complexity that we have and the way that we buy, especially premium products, especially coaching, especially like branding, any service is very different than just kind of selling like a water bottle, right? Like there are so many different layers of complexity that we kind of I help my clients simplify so that we can appeal to women's logic, to women's emotions, and create that sense of like desire from a really aligned and kind of like integrity, from a place of alignment and integrity, right? So that there's no push, because I think women are really intuitive, and we can smell from afar when people are lying. We can smell from afar when people are faking. We can smell from afar when people are just trying too hard to sell something. And so it's so important that in order to appeal to women's logic, to women's desire, we start with number one, authenticity, which is the number one thing that women are craving, and the world is craving that so much more now from brands they buy from, even from personal brands or from just companies, right? It's not just for coaches. This is like a trend. This is how the world is moving. We're progressing in that way. And this is why social media has changed the game, and why reality kind of TV has changed the game as well, because we want to connect with people on a deeper level than just like their perfect facade online or their perfect brand. There has to be depth and there has to be connection. That doesn't necessarily mean like talking about benefits and of the product and all these things. We have to appeal to people's emotions as well. So like the logic is one thing. Like it has to make sense for the woman. It has to make sense for her to feel like she is making an investment that's going to make her, progress, that's going to make her a better mom, a better entrepreneur, a better leader. Like she has to feel like this is impacting her identity on a deeper level, not just a product that she just needs. She's going to always look for something that's going to feel like is helping her progress in the world, in her life. And of course, that is aligned with her values, so that, if you're selling branding, if you're selling coaching, if you're selling anything like meal planning, like you can sell meal planning, but you can sell meal planning that is aligned with a woman's values of how she wants to lose weight. Like it has to have depth. And so these are like, we can talk about this for hours, but really the main things is just number one, show up as yourself, be more authentic in how you connect. Don't forget to consistently show up also as an authority, because women want to buy from women who they can trust, they feel safe. Is a big value for women, for all of us, to feel safe in our relationships, in the coaches that we buy from, in like the service providers that we buy from. We want to feel like they've got our back. And so it's so important that you can show up as an authority in what you're doing, and just offering a space of like of like, I've got your back, right? And just making sure that your values are in alignment with your ideal client as well.
Yes, I love that. And I totally agree. I think women, and it's, there's so many factors in cultural and just historically that we put more pressure on ourselves. We feel like we have to show up always again and deliver more, and prove our worth in a way a little bit more. And so that feeling of, being safe and actually being appreciated, encouraged, and in a way, like comforted in a way, and saying, hey, you're doing a great job. So it's so important. Juliana, what I love about you, and I mentioned this expression already that you say sometimes, you mentioned you need to show up authentically. And what it means, a lot of people don't even realize that authentically is like, it's not something you make up, it's really a vulnerability, a touch of, or a dose of vulnerability that you add to your content. And you call it very beautifully elegant vulnerability. What is it in your own words?
Yeah, such a good question. So there is a trend in the marketplace or in the coaching space, or even just in like the world at this point, right? Where, as I said, people want to show up more authentically. However, there is a trend where people started, I don't know if you, obviously, if we have coaches here, you've probably seen people who do like these vulnerable posts, and then they just kind of offload their emotions or their problems onto their audience or onto Facebook or Instagram for the sake of like connecting, right? And so they're kind of taking it to the other spectrum, like the other side of the spectrum, where they hear, oh, Juliana said, go connect and be authentic. So I'm just going to share and like overshare everything. And the problem with that is that our audience is looking for somebody they can lean on. Our audience is looking for somebody they can trust, that they feel like she's got my back. She's got me covered. Like I can feel safe with her. And when we show up in a way where we are out of power, when we are showing up not really like sharing a lesson from what we have experienced, maybe even if it's like a sticky situation, our audience is going to feel like, oh, she needs help. Like she's the one that maybe needs a coach. She needs support. Like, let me support her. And then of course you're going to get a lot of engagement in your posts or in your videos. If you're going to do a video crying on your, whatever's going on for you, you're going to get a lot of engagement. You are going to, because guess what? People come around you and they're like they feel for you. Like, oh, they send you support, but they're not going to see you as an authority, right? They're not going to see you as somebody who can help them. They're not going to see you. They're not going to store your image or your name in the back of their mind as like, I can't wait to pay her to help me. Like, that's not the perception they're going to have. Yes, you're going to create connection, but you're going to lose people like, they're not going to pay you essentially. So the reason why I talk about elegant vulnerability is because it's important for us to share our truth and also cultivate the authority, sharing the lessons that we are learning as we are going through things. And it's okay sometimes to not share what you're going through right now if you are not ready. Like, there's no pressure to be like, oh, I'm going through something. If I'm not sharing this authentically, then I'm lying. Like, no, there's a place for us to process things. Sometimes it can be, we can get the lesson quickly and we can share with our audience like the powerful lesson we learned from this sticky situation. Sometimes it might take a little while for us to process. There's no pressure kind of having to put ourselves out there in a way where then we feel like vulnerability hangover kind of thing. And so I really my invitation with elegant vulnerability is sharing from a place of power, sharing from a place of like, here's what happened. I learned this lesson. This is what you can learn from my mistakes or from this experience so that you can shortcut, the number of obstacles that are in front of you. Very different from, here are all my problems. Here are all my complaints. I'm blaming everybody. Or like, here's why this person's at fault. Like, you're gonna lose the respect of your audience. And so it's a really fine line that takes practice to know how to walk. It's not like, if you're like, oh, have I done this before? Oh my God, did I screw it up last time? We've all done it. Don't worry. It's okay. I've even had my moments where I'm like, oh, actually that shouldn't have gone out like years ago. Right. it's okay. It's just a matter of like practicing, because it is something that we get to master. It's not something that is intuitive, because it kind of is like, oh yeah, I have to build a brand and attract clients, but also be authentic is complex. It's okay if you feel a little bit like, I don't know about it. It takes practice. This is why I have a job.
Exactly. Yes. And you know what? You get your feel for it. And, you know, Facebook is very unforgiving like this, because it has this memories feature, and it just brings up memories from a couple of years ago. And sometimes you're like, oh God, this needs to be just deleted. Not very often. It doesn't happen to me. I'm lucky because naturally I am someone who shares, but I'm also very private. So somehow naturally just came out, you know, that you're sharing, but you're sharing your lessons, but you're not sharing anything that can, you know, show you in the bad light. I think that there is a misunderstanding and kind of like a myth about what it is to be authentic. And you know, as you said, sometimes people just go into full on, you know, but authentic doesn't mean at all that you have to tell everything that's happening with you. Authentic is just being you and being true to your values and, you know, whatever you do. I know that sometimes, you know, when I share my lessons and I go into this like real motivator mode. So one of my insecurities, which I really saw that it was an insecurity, was like, oh my God, am I showing up too much like Mr. Motivator and I'm not actually like genuine at this? And it's not true. It was an insecurity. I was absolutely genuine. And that's the way, when I talk to my friends, I also go into that mode. So that's the way I am.
Yeah, this is such a good distinction, because everybody who's listening to this or who'll be watching this, and we all evolve and change, right? But we're all different. Like the way that I am authentic is not the same way that you are authentic, right? Like there are some people who are like authentically, like one of my friends, she's super successful and she's like always kind of like flowery and happy and just like sweet and like gentle and just like sparkles everywhere, and like 2% kind of just like a little bit sassy, but not a lot. And I am like 50-50. I'm give it to you straight, but that's just who I am, right? So if you're watching this and you're like, do I have to be like Juliana? Am I doing it right? What's the right combination? I just invite you to be like, how are you normally? Like, how do you normally show up? And don't compare to like anyone, because you have your own like dial of like your level of authenticity, your own recipe that people are going to be magnetized to, right? It's just a matter of like allowing that to shine, and then also making sure that you are balancing that with showing up as an authority in what you're doing, as somebody people can trust, right? Because if we do only inspirational content or like calling people out type of content or elegant vulnerability only, we're not going to convert clients. We are just going to be inspirational, and then people will tell you, you're so nice, but like you'll be like, where is that converting to bank account dollars? Right? And so this is why it's important to be both and to have like to hold both paradigms, but honoring, as you were saying, just who you are in like your own unique way. Like it's normal for you to be your own way in the way that you're in your brand. It's normal for me to be my own way, and it flows, right?
Exactly. And I have to add to this as well, guys. Don't be afraid if something that flows naturally to you is actually somebody in your, or who you follow, maybe a little bit ahead of you is doing. I actually experienced this in my own, journey, where what is very true to me was also very true to an influencer who was in exactly the same niche, has exactly the same set of skills and attract a very similar audience. And so for me, because she's already doing it, and I was thinking, oh my God, what if I start doing these kind of things, but at the end of the day, whatever's true to you, that's what's important and don't hold yourself back. Even if somebody else is doing that, you don't have to be unique. I just thought I'll put it out there, because I know the other end of the stick where you hold yourself back from, not trying to copy somebody. Whereas it's important to have and also I also have to add the truth about sharing and not positioning yourself as an authority. That's where my business turned around. When I started positioning myself as an authority, and I started, really like showing up there, writing for publications and building that position as well, everything's changed. And before that, as you said, so be careful and make sure that whatever you're doing, and this is nothing to do with manipulation or anything, but we also, as women, yes, we're intuitive, yes, we're soulful, but we have to think about that we are growing a business. And business is something that we have to take the ego out and focus on some results, that we need to be strategic about what we're doing. And I think that's what you said about creating content that positions you, that as someone who people would pay and not a girl next door. Exactly. So, I know you have something. And while we are on this topic, I know that you have something amazing, a series of prompts that can help you with that elegant vulnerability. Talk to me about what it is.
Yeah, so this is a guide that all of you who are watching this will get access to. Is free, and it's called the 30-day Expose Your Truth Challenge. And this challenge was born because I was stuck in my visibility years ago. I was feeling like I wasn't being authentic. I wasn't being myself. I was hiding from like my audience. I just didn't know how to create results because I was fearful of what people would think of me. And I knew I had so much to give. I was like, I have so much wisdom inside of me, but like, I just don't know how to package it all in like the right offer. It just felt so complicated. And I just spent more time overthinking than showing up. So I had an idea in the shower, and it was to expose 30 truths about myself for 30 days. And I don't know where the idea came from, but it was definitely a download from the universe. And so it was a Sunday when I had the idea. I just declared that was what I was going to do for 30 days. I had no prompts. I had no guidelines. I had nothing, but I did it. For 30 days, I showed up and I shared wisdom that I had, just my stories, like from elegant vulnerability, like it all kind of elegant vulnerability was born from me doing that. It all just became people started noticing me so much. And so I did it for 30 days. And at the end of the 30 days, I got premium clients. I got over $15,000 in premium clients. And I had never had clients without having like ads to a funnel, which was the first time that I really did it organically at that level, just using my personal brand. I was mainly just doing consulting work for funnels and doing launches for my clients. And I wanted to transition into coaching full time, just doing like coaching people more than just giving strategy. And that's just what gave me the bridge to build raving fans of people who just connected with me. And they were like, oh my God, like you're speaking to me every day. I had people who were like, I literally go to your profile every day to see what you wrote that day. Cause like my friends were telling me and they weren't even liking it, but they were watching, and just people started coming in and I started signing clients, and it wasn't even my intention, but it just became a thing. And then after that, they started just knowing me from that experience. So I decided to create a guide with the prompts that I just decoded. I went back to all my posts and created prompts for all of you to kind of, get on the bandwagon of just showing up consistently and being visible. And I've actually upgraded the guide to give you more sales-oriented posts as well. So ever since then, the guide had like 1,300 people that, joined the movement. It just became a whole movement. And I decided to revamp it. And so I added some like specific sales content prompts. So if you go and download it, you're going to get access to it. It's literally amazing. It's one of the things I'm most proud of. I should be charging for it, but I just really feel like this is work that the world needs. So it's free for you.
It's absolutely, and you forgot to mention, it's insanely beautiful, guys. It's so attractive. It's like one of the best downloadable PDFs I've seen. I really, I seriously, I had a crush in the last 2-3 months on Juliana and her stuff, and I have her on C first because I just love surrounding myself with people who inspire me. And I find that our language is very similar, the way we're showing up. So sometimes, if you wake up and you're not in a good mood, and then Juliana's post is there in your feed, and it's like, okay, let's embrace this life. And I'm not joking. This is how, and that's why I love social media, because you can have people who inspire you indirectly, even to lift you up, and you're ready for action, you're ready for your day. Juliana, thank you so much for being my wonderful guest today. A really, really wonderful interview, so much value. And I just think that the next thing you need to do, guys, immediately click on that link in the description and grab the guide and start from tomorrow or even today, start writing. The prompts are really, really easy to follow, but they give you so much inspiration that you won't get stuck. And as I said, really beautiful as well. Again, thank you so much, Juliana. Guys, I will see you next week on another episode of Show Up, Stand Out. See you later, and goodbye.